The film opens as Levon Cade wakes up early in the morning in his car. He goes about his daily routine and is the first to arrive at a construction site as he is a construction worker. After the rest of the workers arrive, one worker, Noel, gives him food that his wife made. Levon gives a motivational speech to his team before they get started on their work. Levon has a close relationship with the Garcia family that runs the construction company, considering them as his own family. Their daughter, Jenny Garcia, asks her father, Joe, for money as she is planning to celebrate with her friends since she finished the first semester of school. Joe is hesitant to give her the money, but when his wife, Carla, pushes him to, Joe gives in and gives her his credit card. Levon then sees a black pickup truck pulling up at the construction site. He goes out to investigate and finds some thugs beating up Noel. After politely telling them to leave, the thugs continue to beat on the man, leading Levon to throw a bucket of nails at them before proceeding to beat on them too. More thugs show up, but Levon manages to defend himself and get them to back off. When Noel asks Levon how he did that, Levon simply tells him to get back to work. Jenny saw everything but will not say anything, and she too brought him food that her grandmother made for him. Jenny asks Levon to have her back if she ever needs it, to which Levon promises. Levon is a single father to Meredith, or Mary, who lives with her grandfather, Dr. Roth. Roth hates Levon due to the belief that he got his daughter, Levon's wife, killed since she committed suicide when he was serving overseas, and blames him for not being there for her. He tells him that Levon is an unsafe parent and a killer. Later, Levon has lunch with Mary, where he gives her a picture of her mother as a present. Mary says Roth took all her pictures down, that she sometimes forgets what she looks like, but Levon tells her that she looks like her. Mary says she is mad at her mother for leaving them, and Levon tells her he is hurt too. Levon later has a meeting with the lawyers. The lawyers say that Roth has enough money to pay big-time lawyers to bleed Levon dry and keep him away from Mary, but Levon has his own resources from his saved-up money and is prepared to keep fighting for his daughter. Jenny goes out to a club at night with some friends. They are being watched by a criminal couple, Viper and Artemis, who are looking for a girl to bring to their client. Jenny and her friends then go to a bar to get something to eat. One of Jenny's friends starts to feel nauseous, and Jenny takes her to the bathroom. The bartender, Johnny, sees this and sends a message to someone. Jenny tells her friend to clean up and leaves the bathroom. As she was on her way back to her friends, Viper suddenly ambushed her and put a glue trap over her mouth to knock her out before they drag her away into a van. On Monday morning, Levon is met by Joe and Carla. They tell Levon that Jenny has been missing since Friday night and that they feel the cops will not help them. Joe knows that Levon is a former Green Beret and that he knows how to track down bad guys. Levon says that part of his life is over now. He later goes to visit his fellow former soldier, Gunny Lefferty, who was left blinded during a mission, but he is thankful to Levon for saving his life. Levon talks to Gunny about the dilemma with Jenny. Gunny tells him that if he decides to rescue her, he had better go all in. Levon later goes to the Garcia home again to speak to Joe, telling him that they are his family and implying he will get Jenny back. Levon begins his investigation into Jenny's whereabouts by checking out the club she went to. He ends up at the restaurant where Jenny was kidnapped and sees Johnny secretly selling drugs to customers. Levon then goes to the back of the restaurant and sees that the security camera has been cut off. While searching for more clues, he finds Jenny's piece of clothing on the floor. Levon waits in his car as Johnny closes his restaurant. Levon has put a GPS tracker on Johnny's car and begins to follow him. Johnny finally stops at an apartment, and Levon retrieves his GPS tracker before he follows him inside. Levon busts into his apartment and holds him at gunpoint. He asks him about Jenny, but Johnny lies and tells him she ran off drunk. Levon picks him and puts him in a bathtub as he waterboards him for information. Johnny tells him that the people he works for are very dangerous and will kill him if he says something. Before Levon can torture him more, two of Johnny's buddies show up at the apartment and hear Johnny calling for help. Levon uses Johnny as a human shield as the two open fire before he shoots both of them dead. Levon opens up their shirt and sees a Russian Bratva tattoo. He takes the money they were carrying and takes off. The three corpses are later found by high-ranking Bratva Captain Wolo Kolesnik and his two nephews, Danya and Vanko. Wolo sees that his money is missing and thinks someone is targeting their organization. Levon watches Wolo leave and starts following him. He infiltrates Wolo's home and sees Wolo striking his wife in the face, making her head out in anger. Levon gets in the house and picks up a hot coffee and spills it on Wolo's face before he knocks him out. Wolo wakes up to find himself tied to a chair that is tied to a rope while hanging over a pool. Levon takes off the duct tape from his mouth but threatens to cut the rope if he gets loud. Wolo tries to frighten him by telling him the organization he works for and that he is the brother of a high-ranking member in the Bratva, but Levon doesn't care. He slaps him twice and tells him that it is for hitting his wife. Levon takes out the money he took and starts throwing it on Wolo's face and tells him that he doesn't care about his money or his business and asks him about Jenny's whereabouts. Wolo curses in Russian, alluding to someone named Dimmy and how it's their fault that this is happening. Levon cuts the rope and lets Wolo drown in his pool. Levon goes out and translates the Russian Wolo spoke and sees that he was cursing and threatening his son Dimmy. Wolo is later found by his brother, Simon Karchenko, the head of the organization. Simon sends his sons Danya and Vanko to go after Levon. Jenny is being kept in a house somewhere. One of her kidnappers, Artemis, brings her food. Jenny tells her that they have the wrong girl and that it is a mistake. Artemis points a gun at her and threatens her to do as she is told. Elsewhere, Levon contacts his friend Tobias Garrett, who works in the Drug Enforcement Administration, and asks him for information on Dimmy. Tobias gives him a location of a bar where they sell meth for the Russians. Levon goes to the bar, which is in the countryside. He goes in to have a drink. Artemis, who also works there, notices something was off about Levon and sends a man named Doogie to check if he is a cop. Doogie sits beside him, and Levon reveals a stack of money to him to make it look like he is there to buy drugs. Doogie takes him to a private place and introduces him to a local drug lord named Dutch. Artemis tells Dutch that he is a cop. Dutch orders Levon to clear out his pocket to check if he has a badge, but Levon tells him that he didn't come to be disrespected. Dutch brings his goons out to deal with Levon, but he quickly mops the floor with them as he beats them one by one until Dutch stops him before he kills any of his men. Dutch recognizes that Levon is a former soldier like him, so they develop a mutual respect for one another. Dutch gives Levon instructions to meet with Artemis and Doogie the next morning so they can begin their business. Levon meets them at a restaurant the next morning. They ask him for the money, and when Levon asks them for his drugs, they just give him a cell phone. Doogie tells him that he will get a call later that will tell him where his drugs are. Levon tells them he knows where to find them and warns them not to play him. While Levon is driving off, he gets a call from Dutch, who tells him that his drugs are under his seat. He tells Levon to keep the phone as he will call him later to do more business with him. Levon stops his car before he throws out the drug. Later that night, Artemis and Viper bring Jenny to meet with their client, Mr. Broward. He prepares to rape her while unconscious, but she turns out to be awake and bites a huge chunk of his cheek off, which pisses him off. Levon later gets a call from Dutch, who tells him that he first needs to meet with the person in charge before they can sell him more drugs. Levon finally meets Dimmy through Dutch while still making them think that he is a legit dealer. When Dimmy asks him for his name, Levon lies and tells him that his name is Bill. Dimmy then asks for his driver's license to check if there is anything suspicious. After his license checks out, Dimmy and Dutch give him a briefcase of drugs and tell him that if he likes their products, they will supply him with a large amount. Levon then goes to the bathroom and disposes of the drugs in the toilet. Levon later checks the pictures Jenny and her friends took at the party, and he sees Viper in the back, secretly taking pictures of them. He then checks Johnny's phone, which was sent to him by Tobias. He sees multiple pictures of Johnny and Viper together. Levon checks the location of where they took the picture and finds it is in Dutch's bar. Levon tries to infiltrate their biker bar, but Artemis catches him through surveillance cams and orders the goons to go after him. Levon steals a bike and rides into the woods. After a brief chase, Levon crashes into a police cruiser. Unfortunately, the two cops, Sergeant Von Trask and Deputy Detweiler, are on the criminal's payroll. Danya and Vanko show up to get Levon and pay the cops to walk away. The brothers haul Levon into their van and try to tie him up and torture him for killing their uncle. Levon begins a fight with them, leading to them getting thrown all around the van. In the struggle for the gun, the driver gets his brains blown up, making the van crash and hang over a cliff of a river. Levon fights the brothers off before he shoots and kills them both. He escapes their van and pushes it into the river. Simon later discovers the bodies of his sons at the morgue and declares that their feud with Levon is now personal. Artemis and Viper are instructed by Dimmy to kill Jenny since she attacked Broward, costing Dimmy a lot of money. Elsewhere, Simon calls a meeting with other high-ranking members of the organization and informs them about the situation. One member, Yuri, gives Simon two of his best hitmen, Karp and Nestor, to help him deal with the situation. Simon goes to Dimmy's nightclub with his trigger-happy henchman Karp, who gleefully fires a gun into the club, to the horror of the other patrons. Dimmy swears that he is not affiliated with Levon, and he only knows him through business. He gives Simon the picture he took from Levon's fake driver license. Simon tells Dimmy that Levon is hunting him. Karp and Nestor pay a hacker to find the identity of Levon and everyone he knows. Dr. Roth's home is attacked by the thugs after the organization learns who Levon really is. Levon learns that Roth didn't show up to pick Mary up from school. He goes to the school and quickly figures out that something is wrong. He picks Mary up and goes back to the house, which is on fire. Levon rescues Roth from the flames before firefighters and medics arrive. Roth blames Levon for the violence that follows him, but Mary reminds him that Levon saved his life. Levon then takes Mary to stay with Gunny and his wife for safety. Gunny supplies Levon with high-grade weapons and military equipment he needs to take on the Brat. As Viper and Artemis take Jenny to a quiet place to kill her, she starts kicking them, making Viper crash the car in the woods. Jenny is able to cut her hands and feet free to run and escape into the woods. She runs until she sees a cop car, but unfortunately, the cops are Von Trask and Detweiler. They bring Jenny back to the trafficker's compound, where Viper and Artemis prepare to finish the job, until Broward calls them and wants to give Jenny a second chance, except he wants her to stay dirty and awake. Levon shows up at Dimmy's club and starts taking out his men one by one until he finds Dimmy alone. Dimmy grabs one of the club girl and threatens to shoot her if Levon makes any other moves. Levon shoots Dimmy in the hand so he can't use his gun. Dimmy, having no choice, tells him where Jenny is, and Levon forces Dimmy to join him and show him where the compound is. Dimmy guides Levon to the compound's location. Once they reach the compound, Levon forces Dimmy out at gunpoint, where Dimmy says that he knows what he does is wrong, but someone else would be doing the job if not for him. Levon kicks him into a creek and shoots him dead before entering the compound, just as Broward is brought by Artemis and Viper to see Jenny and prepares to violate her. The compound is shaken up by Levon throwing a grenade. Levon proceeds to slaughter the Braffa goons, but Dutch and his biker gang head over to deal with Levon as well. Levon kills the bikers and the Braffa goons single-handedly using his skill until Doogie attacks him with a knife. Levon quickly disarms him and stabs him before he uses him as a shield when Dutch enters and fires at him. Dutch uses his strength to throw Levon around before they have a knife duel. Levon outskills him and stabs Dutch in the chest, and tells him that his fight was not with him. Dutch tells him to finish it, and Levon kills him but honors him respectfully. Levon hears Jenny's voice and finds her room. He shoots Broward dead and goes after Viper while Jenny locks her legs around Artemis's neck. Levon beats the shit out of Viper and destroys his neck using his elbow, while Jenny squeezes on Artemis's neck until it snaps. Levon frees her, but Carp and Nestor arrive at the scene. Von Trask and Detweiler also show up, but Carp thinks they are regular cops and shoots them to hell before blowing them up in their cruiser. Levon uses his resources to kill Carp and throws a grenade at Nestor, blowing him up. Levon takes one of the biker's motorcycle before he escapes with Jenny as Simon watches him from outside. Simon calls Yuri, who tells Simon that the devil got what he came for, and to leave him alone because nobody in the organization will help him in his crusade for revenge as it is bad for business to wage war. Simon decides to work independently and screams to the sky in rage. Levon brings Jenny back to her house, where she has an emotional reunion with her entire family. Joe and Carla tearfully thank Levon for saving her. He then goes to Gunny's home to see Mary again. As he joins them for breakfast, Gunny tells Levon he is finally home